Who's ready for some Miami Heat basketball with Deron Butler on Kendall Sports Network?
And good Friday evening, or should I say Boxing Day, ladies and gentlemen, on the first day of Kwanzaa during this holiday season. I'm Deron Butler, welcoming you to another edition of Heat Zone Live. Tonight, the Miami Heat are in another Southeast Division battle as they take on the Atlanta Hawks in what should be another high-scoring, high-impact, high-intense game. While I do have some news to share, both bad and good. The bad news is that Bam Adebayo will not be starting in tonight's game. He is out with an injury. However, the good news is that Miami do get some big bodies back in the form of Pelle Larsson, who will start in tonight's game, and Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jovic, who will be active in tonight's game. Both the Heat and the Hawks have been on losing streaks as of late. The Hawks having lost four games, 8 of the last 10. And of course the Miami Heat have lost 3 consecutive games, going 1 for 9 of their last 10 games. But if there's one thing to take away from this is that the Heat, even though they've been ravaged by injuries as of late, they haven't made excuses for it. What is unexcusable is the fact that the Heat have been playing very stagnant and very careless at that. So if the Miami Heat needs a bounce back win, matter of fact, both teams need a bounce back win, it is tonight. So here are my 3 keys for tonight's game. Key number 1, get Kel'el Ware hot and in a hurry. Throughout this 3-game slump, Kel'el Ware has been a rising star and someone that I've been championing to be an all-star for tonight's game. For this season, I should say. Kel'el Ware definitely has some potential. In Wednesday's game, he didn't play up to that potential. Very tepid performance from him. But tonight, I expect to see a double-double performance from Kel'el Ware. Key number 2, be wary of the defense. Atlanta has some good defensive players, but the one that sticks out to me is Dyson Daniels. I don't know why this guy didn't win Defensive Player of the Year, or if he did, but Dyson Daniels likes to trap players. He has lanky arms, he has quick hands, and if Miami needs to do something about Dyson Daniels, they will have to set some pick and rolls. And third and finally, the third key is to snare rebounds. Miami didn't get enough of the rebounds in Wednesday's game against Toronto, which definitely hurt them in the long run. But not only that, they need to get very active. So those are my 3 keys for tonight's game. And here's a look at our starting lineups for the Miami Heat. We have Davion Mitchell at point guard. Pelle Larsson will be starting at shooting guard. We also have Kel'el Ware. Andrew Wiggins will also be playing, as well as Norman Powell. And for the starting lineup for the Atlanta Hawks, they got Kristaps Porzingis, they have Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, as I mentioned before, Onyeka Okongwu, Jalen Johnson. So this seems like a very, I don't want to say underrated team, but I will say they're a formidable team. I mean, given how the Eastern Conference looks nowadays, I think that this Hawks team, they're either going to be a play-in team like they've always been, like they've been for the last few years, or this is a part where they somehow find a way to break out. I mean, so right now the players are warming up. They're getting themselves ready for tonight's game. Yeah, there's a lot of energy here in State Farm Arena in Atlanta for tonight. It's always exciting whenever the Heat and the Hawks play against each other because of that Southeast Division rivalry. All right, so let's take a look at. All right, let's see. There's Harry the Hawk flying out there. And here's the start. All right, we should get ready for the starting lineups. There we go. Yes, we have Jalen Johnson out there, Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Onyeka Okongwu, and Kristaps Porzingis. If anything, in the battle of the boards and in the battle in the paint, Kelaware is going to have to do some heavy lifting, because going up against the likes of Onyeka Okongwu, and of course you got Kristaps Porzingis lurking around, that's going to be a big problem for him. So Kelaware will need some help down low in the post. All right, so right now the fans are getting hyped in State Farm Arena. The Miami Heat needs to solve their defensive woes, their offensive woes, everything right now. Because they're not the same team that they were a few seasons back. I mean, a few games back, I should say. Sorry. Yeah, this team has lost its rhythm, lost its edge, lost its pace and flow. So right now, if the Heat need to get back on track, it should be against the it should go up against the Hawks, another team that's been struggling as of late. So this away game should help them get back on track. And there we see Andrew Wiggins. He's in the starting lineup for Miami, as well as Pelle Larsson. All right, here's our starting lineups. For Miami, we have Davion Mitchell, Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Pelle Larsson, and Kelaware. And for the Hawks, we have Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Zachary Richate, Jalen Johnson, and Onyeka Okongwu. Those are our starting lineups for both teams. The key matchup, in my opinion, will be Dyson Daniels' defense going up against Norman Powell's offense. As much as I talked about Dyson Daniels' defense, he's got lanky arms, he's got quick hands. This one should be an interesting matchup. All right, the players are getting warmed up. We're ready for opening tip-off. All right, Miami wins the tip, and we are ready to begin this game. All right, Pelle Larsson dribbling up to the floor. He gives it to Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins guarded by Trae Young with the spin. Gives it out to Pelle Larsson. Back to Norman Powell. Here comes Norman Powell with a step back, and he knocks it down. And the Heat are on the board. All right, and here comes the Hawks. Dyson Daniels being guarded by Andrew Wiggins. All right, he gives it off. Back to Trae Young. Back to Daniels. Here comes Daniels. And it's stolen away by Miami. Here goes Davion Mitchell. Back to Norman Powell. Norman Powell loses off his foot, and it's going to go... Nope, it's going to be out of bounds on Atlanta. That one's going to be off on Zachary Rishaze. All right. Miami will have his side out. All right, here comes Wiggins. Wiggins, guarded by Trae Young. Wiggins is double teamed, but Miami passes the ball around to Pelle Larsson for three. And Pelle Larsson knocks down the three from Miami. Heat fans, I know you miss him being on that floor, but he's back. All right now, the Hawks have the ball. That's a three on the way. And it's knocked down for the Hawks. Zachary Rishaze hitting that three. And here comes Davion Mitchell. Out to Pelle Larsson. Back to Norman Powell. To Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins. And he knocks it down. And the Heat are now on a roll. The score is 7-3. And here comes Dyson Daniels for Atlanta. He gives it to Trae Young. Back to Daniels. Misses that basket, but he will go to the line for 2 free throws. I'm sorry, that was not Dyson Daniels. Kind of got mixed up. All right, the Hawks missed their first free throw. And they go 1 of 2 from the line. And here comes Pelle Larsson. Gives it to Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins, blow by. And he gets the layup again. Wiggins gets another layup. The Heat lead by 5. Here come the Hawks now. Okongwu gives it to Trae Young. Trae Young flies in. Misses the layup, and here comes Miami. Davion Mitchell going coast to coast. He stops, gives it to Norman Powell. Ball is knocked loose, and that's going to be a foul on Atlanta. All right, so Norman Powell will go to the line for 2 free throws. Norman Powell makes the first. And Norman Powell makes both free throws. So the Heat lead by 7. And here comes, all right, ball's knocked loose, but stolen away by Miami. Here comes Norman Powell, looking for the 3. Rims out, and that's going to go out of bounds on Miami. It's going to be Hawks ball. Here comes Trae Young. Trae Young flies in, gets fouled, and will go to the line for the and-1. Trae Young got fouled by Norman Powell, so that will send him to the line. And Trae Young knocks down the and-1. That brings the Hawks within 4. Here comes Pelle Larsson. Gives it to Wiggins. Wiggins to Norman Powell. Powell flips it out to Wiggins. Norman Powell. And there's Pelle Larsson. And Pelle Larsson knocks down another three. The Heat lead by 7 in this one. And the Hawks answer back with a basket of their own. Jalen Johnson getting that one. I'm sorry, Dyson Daniels getting that one. Nice crossover. But no go for that three. All right, and here comes Trae Young for Atlanta. Gives it to Okongwu. Here comes Zachary Richase. And Zachary Richase getting that layup as the Hawks trail by 3. Here comes Pelle Larsson. Out to Wiggins. Wiggins, step back 3, misses it. Rebound by Atlanta. Here come the Hawks now. Onyeka Okongwu gets the layup. And that brings the Hawks within 1. Alright, here comes Miami. Davion Mitchell has it. Kicks it out to Norman Powell. That's a missed 3. And here come the Hawks, looking to take the lead. And they do get the lead. Jalen Johnson hitting that turnaround jumper. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Kicks it out to Pelle Larsson. And the alley-oop to Kalel Superboy Ware to bring Miami the lead again. And that's an uncontested 3. That's a miss from Onyeka Okongwu. And here comes Miami. Norman Powell now has the ball. Gives it to Wiggins. To Pelle Larsson. Larsson with a pump fake. And gets the basket. And that's going to prompt a Hawks timeout. The Miami Heat are starting to find their offensive rhythm, but can they keep it up for the rest of the game? They lead 18-15. And we are back. The score is 18-15 Miami. The Heat now have possession of the ball. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Mitchell being guarded. A step back. And Davion Mitchell knocks it down. The Heat now lead by 5. And here come the Hawks. They swinging the ball around. They give it to Dyson Daniels. Daniels being guarded by Norman Powell. And comes up with the steal. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Gives it to Norman Powell. Powell being guarded. Gives it to Kel'el Ware. Kel'el knocks down the basket. And the Heat go up by 7. Here comes Dyson Daniels again. Gives it to Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson missing that 3. And here comes the Miami Heat now. The Heat looking to capitalize, and they do. Here comes Jaime Jaquez. Kicks it out to Norman Powell for the dunk. And the Heat go up by 9, and that's going to prompt another Atlanta Hawks timeout. The Heat are on a roll right now, but can they continue this as they lead 24-15? So right now, during these timeout segments, if you have any questions or anything basketball related to share, feel free to put it in the comments right now, and I'll be there to answer them. Or if you just want to talk about how your holiday season's going, feel free to talk about that. Mm-hmm. And we are back. Score is 24-15 Miami. The Heat are on a roll right now, but let's see if they can continue this pace for the remainder of the game. Of course, the Christmas Day recap games. Miami was not a part of those games, but I did see some of the Cavaliers-Knicks game, and that one was crazy. The Knicks came away on top against the Cleveland Cavaliers in what was a very close game. All right, now we got some action on the way. Jalen Johnson gives it to Muhammad Gay. Ball is knocked loose, and that's going to be a backcourt violation on the Hawks. It will be Heat ball. Oh, Nickeil Alexander-Walker was the one who initiated that turnover. All right, and here comes the Heat. Here comes Drew Smith now in the game. Gives it to Norman Powell. Out to Kasper Jakajunas. And that's a missed three from Kellel Ware. And here come the Hawks. And that's going to be another over and back. Nope. That was last touch by Miami. Here comes Jalen Johnson. Out to Nikhil Alexander-Walker for three. And he knocks it down. And that brings the Hawks within 6. Here comes Yaka Junis. Yaka Junis gives it to Hawkass. Out to Drew Smith. Back to Hawkass. Here comes Hawkass. The Yaka Junis. Kasper's Yaka Junis gives it back to Drew Smith. Here comes Drew Smith. And he misses that layup. And here come the Hawks. That's a 3 on the way. And it looks good. The Hawks trail by 3 in this one. Here comes Yaka Junis. The Hawkass. To Drew Smith. To Norman Powell. Out to Hawkass. Here comes Norman Powell, and he misses the layup. Here comes the Hawks again. Jalen Johnson, and he gets the basket. And he will go to the line for the N1. So far, no response from the Heat. After they managed to have a 9-point lead, now it's dwindled down. And Jalen Johnson ties the game at 24 for Atlanta. All right, and here comes Kasper Siakajunas. He breaks free, gets fouled, and he will go to the line for 2 free throws. That one's going to be on Muhammad Gay. All right, Kasper Siakajunas is at the line for Miami. He makes the first. Onyeka Okonwo was back in the game for the Hawks. And he makes both free throws to give Miami the lead. All right, and here comes the Hawks again. Trae Young. Oh, and that's a missed 3 for the Hawks. And here comes Miami now. Nikola Jovic is in the game. Kicks it out to Hami Hawkass Jr. Kasper Siakajunas. And Kasper, the friendly ghost Siakajunas, 3 for Miami. The Heat go up by 5. And here comes the Heat again. They give it to Jovic. And that's a missed 3. And here come the Hawks. Looking to capitalize on that miss. Trae Young. And he knocks it down for 3. And the Hawks trail by 2 in this one. Trae Young already with 6 points in this game. And another miss from Nikola Jovic. And here come the Hawks again. A long 3 from Trae Young, and he gets the Hawks a lead. Trae Young now with 9 points, and here comes Hawkins. Gets his shot blocked, but he will go to the line for 2 free throws. That foul is going to be on Muhammad Gay. Trae Young, very deadly with the range from 3. He just knows how to knock it down. Everyone talks about Stephen Curry, but nobody talks about Trae Young's range. Jaime Jaquez Jr. going to the line for 2 free throws. He misses the first. And Hawkins goes 1 of 2 from the line, and we are tied at 30 for this game. Here comes Trae Young with a step back. He misses. Rebound by Miami. Here comes Kaspers Yakajunas. He gives it to Hawkins. Hawkins backing him down. Gives it to Drew Smith. And Drew Smith misses the layup. And here come the Hawks in a hurry. Trae Young kicks it out. That's a 3. That's a miss. And that's going to go out of bounds. But it's going to be last touch by Miami. So the Hawks will have it side out. Alright. The Hawks will have it side out. They will inbound. Ball's knocked loose by Drew Smith, but it'll still be Hawks ball. And here come the Hawks. Trae Young now has it, being guarded by Drew Smith. That's a 3 on the way. Another miss, and that's going to... And Muhammad Gabe will go to the line for 3 free throws. That is a costly foul by Jaime Jaquez Jr. I mean, good closeout by Jaquez, but was not aware that Muhammad Gabe was going to go for the 3. Muhammad Gabe knocks down the first of 3 free throws. Yeah, he knocks down the second. And Muhammad Gabe goes 2 of 3 from the line. The Hawks now lead by 2. Here comes Kaspers Yakajunas. Gives it to Hawkins. And the basket is good for Miami. And that will take us to the end of the first quarter. Score is tied at 32 between the Heat and the Hawks. We will be back for more action in the second quarter. And we are back to begin the second quarter. Both teams tied at 32. The Miami Heat have 50% field goal percentage, and the Hawks have 52% of field goal percentages. Both teams are equal with rebounding. So here we go for the second quarter. All right, here comes exactly Rishaze. And that's going to be another over and back for the Hawks. So that will be Heat ball. Pete Krejci was the one who initiated that turnover. The Hawks so far have 5 turnovers. Miami surprisingly have 0. And Miami has had 5 points off turnovers to Atlanta 0. Here comes Nikola Jovic. And that's going to be a traveling violation on the Heat. So that will be Hawks ball. Jovic got too careless with his positioning and footing. All right, here come the Hawks. And it's stolen away by Pelle Larsson. Here he comes, and he gets the layup. And the Heat go up by 2. Pelle Larsson now with 10 points, 4 for 4 shooting from the field. All right, here come the Hawks. That's a 3 on the way. That's a miss. It's stolen away by Jovic. Here he comes. And the Hawks come away with the loose ball, and here they come. They give it to Pete Krejci. Onyeka Okongwu ties the game at 34. Okongwu with 4 points right now. Here comes Jaquez. Flies in, but he gets fouled. Jaquez will go to the line for 2 free throws. Jaquez makes the first. And Jaquez makes both free throws. So the Heat now lead by 2. Here come the Hawks again. They give it to Okongwu. Atlanta swinging the ball around, and they come up, and the Heat come away with another steal. Here comes Drew Smith for 3. He misses that shot, but I think that's going to be another foul on the Hawks. The Hawks right now have 3 turnovers in this quarter. Miami only 1. All right, and here comes Pelle Larsson again. Gets his own rebound. Kicks it out to Nikola Jovic for 3. That's a miss. Oof. And here come the Hawks again. Okongwu passes it out to Pete Krejci. Krejci misses it. Rebound by Jaquez. Gives it to Pelle Larsson. Back to Jaquez. To Wiggins. To Drew Smith. Back to Wiggins. Wiggins. Back out to Jaquez. Jaquez almost got fouled. Miami recovers the ball. But I think that's going to be another foul on the Hawks. This game is starting to get away from Atlanta. Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson and Trae Young are entering the game for the Hawks. Jalen Johnson's putting up some all-star numbers so far this season. And that's a 3 on the way. And Nikola Jovic, 3 for Miami. That was a much needed boost for Jovic, who have been struggling as of late and hasn't done much in his games. But now here he is going to the line for a potential 4-point play. All right, looks like we're gonna have a referee's review. So, not sure what was the problem. Oh, that looked like it's a flagrant foul on Zachary Rishaze. Or sorry, Jalen Johnson. He kind of got way too close to Jovic. So this could be a foul, yeah, a flagrant one on Jalen Johnson. And that is going to be a flagrant one on Jalen Johnson. So that will send Nikola Jovic to the line for a technical free throw. Miami so far have made 7 of their last 8 from the cherry stripe, while the Hawks have gone 5 for 7. And Nikola Jovic makes the technical free throw. So now the Heat lead by 6. And they will have possession of the ball. Nickeil Alexander-Walker entering back in the game for Atlanta. All right, Drew Smith inbounds the ball, gives it to Hawkes. Hawkes being guarded. Out to Yakajunas, and he loses the ball, and that's going to be out of bounds on the Heat. So it will be Hawks ball. Miami so far with 2 turnovers. Atlanta with 8. Here comes Jalen Johnson. Drives in, and he gets the basket. And the Hawks trail by 4. Here comes Jovic. Back to Hawkes. To Wiggins. Wiggins misses it. Wiggins again missing it. And here come the Hawks. They give it to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He misses the layup. Rebound by Pala Larson. Larson kicks it out to Hawkes. Here comes Hawkes. And Hawkes gets the basket. Jaime Hawkes Jr. now with 5 points. And the Hawks answer back with a 3 from Beat Krejci. Krejci now with 6 points. And here comes Jovic. Jovic being guarded by Daniels, but it won't matter because Jaime Hawkes Jr. knocks down the 3. Hawkes now with 8 points, going 1 for 1 from the 3-point line. And that's going to be an offensive foul on the Hawks. Beat Krejci thought that was a main 3. Nope, that's going to be an illegal screen on the Hawks. That was going to be on Dyson Daniels. All right, here comes Miami. They get rid of Davion Mitchell. Khalil Worth set the screen. Out to Norman Powell. Here comes Powell. Out to Davion Mitchell. And there's a 3 on the way for Norman Powell. And that's going to be waved off. So that's going to be an offensive foul on Miami. That one's going to be on Kel'el Ware. All right, here come the Hawks again. A missed 3. And rebound by Miami. Here comes Nikola Jovic, backing him down. Jovic missing that one. Rebound by Kel'el Ware, and he gets the putback. Kel'el Ware getting himself started in this game. He has 6 points, going 3 for 4 from the field. And here come the Hawks. Nickeil Alexander-Walker knocks it down. And the Hawks trail by 6. Here comes Davion Mitchell for Miami. Gives it to Norman Powell. Jovic almost got fouled. And he misses that one. And here come the Hawks again. Beat Krejci now has it. Goes for the 3. He misses it. Rebound by Kel'el Ware. He gives it to Pelle Larsson. Larsson out to Davion Mitchell. Out to Norman Powell. Here comes Jovic. Jovic missing another basket. My goodness. And Dyson Daniels is there to get the basket. And that's going to prompt a Heat timeout. So far, both teams have been back and forth with the baskets, but the Heat lead 47-43 in the second quarter. All right, we are back. Score is 47-43, Miami. And here comes Onyeka Okongwu. Almost stolen away, but recovered. The Hawks now have the ball. And they get the layup, and they will go for the and one. And one opportunity for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Nice little sneaky pass by Okongwu to give the layup for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. All right, Nickeil Alexander makes the and one, and we now have ourselves a 1-point game. Here comes Hawkes. Kicks it out to Kel'el Ware. Misses the layup. And here come the Hawks. From Trae Young. Kicks it out to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Misses the three. Rebound by Kel'el Ware. And here comes Miami now. They have 20 points to Atlanta's 16. And that ball's going to go out of bounds on the Hawks. Last touch by Trae Young. All right, and here comes Miami now. Hawkes Jr. backing him down. Hawkes with the step back. Misses it. And rebound by the Hawks. Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming through. Gets his shot blocked. And here comes Miami. Taylor Larson breaks free for the fast break dunk. And the Heat go up by 3. Here comes Trae Young. Being guarded by Hawkes. Trae Young trying to get free. Kicks it out to Alexander-Walker. That's a missed layup, and here come the Heat again. You give it to Hawkes for the uncontested layup. What a nice look up ahead. Hawkes now with 10 points, going 50% from the field. Miami's now with 19 bench points to Atlanta 16. And that's an uncontested 3 from Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And that's going to prompt a Heat timeout. Despite the Heat trying to get some baskets going on the fast break end, they got to do their own diligence on defense. The Heat lead 51-49. Cav right now says the Heat are looking solid, and I do agree. They look very solid so far compared to the last 3 games, but let's see if they can keep this up. Especially if they go into the second half. So that's gonna answer a lot of questions. But right now, the Heat do look solid. And here we go. The Heat lead 51-49 in this game. So far, it's been back and forth. Here comes Wiggins. Kello sets the screen. Wiggins. Wiggins out to Norman Powell. Back to Hawkins. Ball knocked loose, but that's going to be on the Hawks. All right, and here comes Norman Powell for three. Misses it. And that's going to be a 24-second violation on Miami. So that's going to be Hawks ball. All right, and here comes Trae Young now. Being guarded by Davion Mitchell. Trae Young missing that three. Rebound by Atlanta. Here comes Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Ooh, with a step back. He misses it. Rebound by Norman Powell. Here come the Heat. Norman Powell for three. Go, go, Norman Powell Ranger. That's a three for Miami. And another steal for the Heat. Here goes Norman Powell again. Another three. Go, go, Norman Powell Ranger. Another three for the Heat. And they are on a roll right now. Norman Powell with 12 points, going 40% from the three-point line. All right, here comes Trae Young, being guarded by Hawkins. That's a three on the way. That's a miss. Another rebound for Jaime Hawkins. Hawkins now has the ball. Drives in. And he gets a layup. The Heat are on a roll right now. A 12-3 run as they lead by 10. All right, here comes Trae Young. Misses that basket. Rebound by Kello. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Out to Hawkins, and he gets the slammer jammer. Hawkins Jr. now with 14 points off the bench. Going 5 for 8 for the field. The Heat now with 10 fast break points to Atlanta's 11. All right, here comes Trae Young. I think he got fouled by Davion Mitchell. So I think that's going to send... Nope, it's going to be side out for Atlanta. And Drew Smith is coming back into the game for Miami. All right, here comes no go for Atlanta. Rebound by Andrew Wiggins. He gives it to Norman Powell. To Jaime Hawkins. Here goes Hawkins. Rebound by Kello. And he gets the amazing putback. The Heat right now on a 16-3 run. All right, and here comes... All right, the Hawks right now need to respond. All right, Paolo Larson's entering the game for Miami. Norman Powell will take a seat. All right, here comes. And another steal for Miami. This time from Hawkes. Hawkes loses the ball. Recovered by the Hawks. That's a 3 on the way. That's a miss. Rebound by Kel'el Ware. Drew Smith now bringing it up to the floor. Here comes Andrew Wiggins with that 3. No go. And here comes Trae Young. Trae Young being guarded by Drew Smith. And Jalen Johnson gets the basket. And that will end the first half. At halftime, the score is 63-51, Miami. Right away from the early going in the first quarter, Miami played with a sense of urgency. They were looking to get back on their dictating and pace of the flow. And even though the Hawks had a little bit of the lead, they went back and forth with Miami over the lead. In the second quarter, the Heat broke free from that little tussle, and they went on a run. So that 16-3 run definitely helped Miami in a big way. So right now, even though the Heat have a 12-point lead, we all know what happens with the Heat when it comes to the second half. They tend to break down. They tend to play very muddy basketball, and they don't really know how to get back into a rhythm at times. So the Heat will need to regroup and regroup, retool, refocus, and prepare themselves mentally and physically for the second half. So right now, things are looking good, but they can get better if they can continue this run in the second half. And like I said, if you have any basketball related comments or questions for me during this halftime, please feel free to ask them on the comment section, and I'll be there to answer you guys. Or if you just want to talk about pop culture, anime, or even how your holiday season is going, feel free to drop it in the comments, and I'll be there to respond and talk to you guys about it. So right now it's halftime. Take a break, relax, and we'll come back for more Heat action. Oh, what? And we are back from halftime. Score is 63-51 Miami. The Heat had a fantastic second quarter. Their best quarter so far after that last three games where they've slumped so badly. So now here we are in the third quarter. Let's see what they can do. Right now the Hawks will have the ball. And we should get ourselves ready for this one. All right, Trae Young bringing it up to the floor. He's being guarded by Davion Mitchell. Here comes Onyeka Okongwu. Gives it to Trae Young. Young being guarded by Norman Powell. Gives it to Dyson Daniels. There's a three on the way. Rims out. And here comes Trae Young, and he gets the floater. And the Hawks trail by 10 in this one. Trae Young already with 11 points in this game. And here comes Kel'el Ware. He's being guarded by Onyeka Okongwu. The Hawks come up with the steal. And here comes Dyson Daniels. Gives it to Okongwu for the corner three. That's going to be a no-go. Rebound by Kelly Ware. Davion Mitchell kicks it out to Wiggins. Here comes Pelle Larsson. And Larsson easily drives in for the layup. And a nice steal from Davion Mitchell. Nice heads-up play from. That's a three on the way. That's a no-go. Here comes Trae Young. And that's an uncontested basket for Dyson Daniels. The Hawks trail by 10. Very solid play for Atlanta. And here comes Norman Powell. Driving into the lane. Gives it to Kelly Ware. And that's another steal for the Hawks. Here comes Dyson Daniels again. Trae Young now has it. He gets fouled, and he will go to the line for 2 free throws. Miami right now with 2 turnovers in this quarter. Atlanta with 1. All right, Trae Young at the line for the Hawks. He makes the first. And he makes both free throws. So the Hawks trail by 8. Here comes Davion Mitchell. He drives in for the layup. And he gets it. The Heat go up by 10. Davion Mitchell with 4 points, going 66% for the field. And Trae Young will go back to the line again for Atlanta. Trae Young makes the first. And Trae Young makes both free throws. So the Hawks trail by 8 again. Here comes Norman Powell. Norman Powell now. Loses the ball. And that's going to be Hawks ball again. The Hawks right now on a 6-2 run. Here comes Trae Young. There you go. And the Hawks get that uncontested dunk. Zachary Richardson with that emphatic dunk for the Hawks. And here comes Davion Mitchell. Norman Powell for 3. That's a miss. Rebound by the Hawks. And here comes Zachary Richardson. Gives it to Jalen Johnson. To Trae Young. Onyeka Okongwu gets the basket. And the Hawks trail by 6 in this one. And Pelle Larsson answers back with a basket for Miami. So far, Pelle Larsson with 16 points off 7 of 9 shooting. And there's a 3 from ice cold Trae Young. The Hawks trail by 5 in this one. Trae Young with 18 points in this game as the Hawks go on an 11-4 run. Andrew Wiggins coming up with that miss. Ball's knocked loose. That's going to be out of bounds on Miami. And here comes Davion Mitchell, bringing it up to the floor for Miami. Kelly Ware there for the rebound and the putback. And the Heat lead by 7 in this one. Kelly Ware now with 10 points, going 5 for 7 from the field. And here comes Trae Young, being guarded by Norman Powell. Gives it to Jalen Johnson. Onyeka Okongwu tries to muscle his way in, but can't. Here comes Miami now, and it's stolen away by Jalen Johnson, going coast to coast for the layup, and he gets it. The Hawks trail by 5 in this one, as the Heat call timeout. All right, the Heat may have the lead, but right now the Hawks are starting to dominate in the third quarter. Miami leads 71-66. And we are back. Score is 71-66 Miami. Right now, the Hawks are on a 15-8 run, led by Jalen Johnson and Trae Young. While the Heat have answered back with baskets from Pelle Larsson and Kelly Ware, as well as Davion Mitchell. So right now, the Heat will need to get some stops and to get some points in the paint. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Gives it to Norman Powell. Jaime Jaquez for 3. He misses it. Rebound by Norman Powell. Powell for 3. He misses it. Rebound by Atlanta. And here comes Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson being guarded by Jaquez. Jalen Johnson breaks free and he gets the layup. The Hawks trail by 3 in this one. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Gives it to Jaime Jaquez. Jaquez almost loses the ball. Gives it to Pele Larson. To Kel'el Ware for 3. And that's a 3 for Kel'el Superboy Ware. Kel'el Ware right now with 13 points in this game. He has a few rebounds that go along with it. Here comes Jalen Johnson. Johnson gets it to Okongwu. Okongwu muscles in. Gets a layup and it's good. The Hawks trail by 4 again. Here comes Norman Powell. Driving into the lane. And he gets the basket. The Heat lead by 6. And here comes the Hawks again. Missing that layup. Rebound by Jaime Jaquez Jr. Here comes Miami. A 3 on the way for Kel'el Ware. That rims out. And here comes the Hawks. That's a 3 from Zachary Rishaze. A back tap rebound from Miami. And here comes Jaime Jaquez Jr. Jaquez missing that basket. Rebound by Atlanta. And that's a 3 on the way. That's a miss. Rebound by Miami. And that's going to prompt a foul on the Hawks. I think this one's going to be on Jalen Johnson. Miami right now is shooting 45% from the field. Atlanta, 46%. So far, it's an evenly matched game, but neither team giving an inch. And here comes Davion Mitchell, being guarded by Vic Krejci. Norman Powell now has it. Gives it to Kel'el Ware. That's a 3 on the way from Jaquez. That's a miss. And here comes Atlanta again. Jalen Johnson now has it. And he knocks down the basket. As the Hawks go up by, the Hawks lead by 4. Trail by 4. Here comes Norman Powell. He gets the basket under the rest, and he will go to the line for the N1. That was a tough basket from Norman Powell. And Norman Powell knocks down that basket. So the Heat go up by 7. Here comes Trae Young directing traffic. Guarded by Jaime Jaquez. Gives it to Jalen Johnson. And Jalen Johnson will go to the line for the N1. Johnson's putting up some all-star numbers right now. He's got 18 points, going 8 for 13 from the field. Jalen Johnson going to the line for the N1. And he knocks it down. So the Hawks trail by 4 in this one. And here comes the Heat. That's a 3 on the way. That rims out. And that's going to be Hawks ball. Our Hawks right now on a 15-6 run, led by Trae Young and Jalen Johnson, and Onyeka Okongwu. Here comes Nikhil Alexander Walker. Kicks it up to Trae Young. Stolen away by Kasper Siakajunas. And here comes the Heat. That's a 3 on the way. Another miss, and that's going to rebound to the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young for 3. And that brings the Hawks within 1. Trae Young with 25 points, shooting 80% from three-point land. And that's going to be a foul on Mohamed Gay. And that will prompt a Heat timeout. Miami now has a slim lead as they lead 79-78 in the third quarter. And we'll be back for more Heat action. And we are back. Score is 81-78. Score is 79-78. Miami. All right. Wiggins inbounds the ball to Drew Smith. Gives it to Hawkes. Here comes Hawkes. That's a 3 on the way. That's a miss. Rebound by Wiggins. And he gets the basket. The Heat go up by 3. Here comes Trae Young. Trae Young being guarded by Kasper Siakajunas. That's a corner 3. And the Hawks miss. Rebound by Drew Smith. And here comes the Heat again. Drew Smith. He will go to the line for 2 free throws. Drew Smith makes the first, and it gives the Heat a 4-point lead. And Drew Smith makes both free throws. The Heat lead by 5 in this one. Here comes Trae Young again. Alley-oop. That's a no-go for Atlanta. And here comes Miami again. Nikola Jovic drives in, but misses the layup. Onyeka Okongwu with the rebound. And he will give it to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Gives it to Trae Young. That's a 3 on the way, and that's going to be a foul. That is going to be another costly foul on Miami. Yep, that's definitely going to be a costly foul. Okay, so no. So we side out for Atlanta. No 3 free throws. Trae Young now has it, being guarded by Drew Smith. And the Hawks come away with nothing. Here comes the Heat again. Here comes Yakajunas. Loses the ball. Hawkins recovers. And here comes Atlanta. Trae Young with the spot up 3. He misses it. Rebound by Miami. Drew Smith has it. Gives it to Nikola Jovic. Jovic finds Kasparas Yakajunas for 3. And Kasparas, as friendly ghost Yakajunas 3 from Miami. The Heat go up by 6. And here come the Hawks again. And they answer back with a basket. Miami right now on a 7-2 run. Here comes Kasparas Yakajunas. The crossover. Kicks it out to Jovic for 3. And Jovic misses yet again. Can't seem to find his rhythm. And Trae Young now has the ball for the Hawks. He gets fouled and he will go to the line for 2 free throws. Trae Young knocks down the first. And Trae Young knocks down the second. So the Hawks trail by 4 again. Trae Young now with 23 points. 14 in this quarter. All right, Andrew Wiggins now has it. Wiggins out to Nikola Jovic, and he gets the basket. And it's stolen away by Drew Smith, and he gets the put back and layup. The Heat lead by 8 in this point. The Heat lead by 8 in this quarter. That's a corner 3. And Muhammad Gabe will go to the line for 2 free throws. That foul is going to be on Nikola Jovic. Muhammad Gay makes the first. And Muhammad Gay makes the second. And at the end of the third quarter, we have ourselves a game. The Miami Heat lead 90-84 at the end of the third quarter. And we'll be back for the fourth quarter for the Miami Heat. And we are back, ready to begin the fourth quarter as the Heat lead 90-84. Kasparas Jakajunas bringing it up to the floor, being guarded by Dyson Daniels. Jakajunas passes it out, back to Jakajunas, finds Jovic. That's Drew Smith, rims out, and here comes the Hawks. Dyson Daniels bringing it up to the floor. Gives it to Okongwu. Dyson Daniels missing that layup. And here comes Kasparas Jakajunas. Here comes Wiggins. And Wiggins gets a layup. And the Heat go up by 8 in this game. Andrew Wiggins with 10 points, shooting 5 for 11 from the field. And the Hawks missing that basket. Here comes Nikola Jovic. He gives it to Hawkes. Back to Jovic. Jovic trying to break through. And he gets fouled and go to the line for 2 free throws. That foul is going to be on the Hawks. Jovic already with, I think, 5 points in this game. He will tack on 2 more if he can. Jovic makes the first. And Nikola Jovic makes both free throws. So the Heat lead by 10. And there's a 3 on the way from Beat Creechy as the Hawks trail by 7. Creechy now with 11 points. Here comes Jovic. Gives it to Yaka Jr. Out to Hawkes. Here comes Hawkes. Loses the ball, and that's going to go out of bounds. Hawkes will go to the line for 2 free throws. Hawkes makes the first. And Hawkes makes the second. The Heat lead by 9 in this one. Here comes Creechy. Gives it to Onyeka Okongwu. Okongwu being guarded by Hawkes. Misses the layup. And here comes the Heat again. Andrew Wiggins brings it up to the floor. Being guarded by Zachary Rishaze. And here comes Wiggins. Knocks it down over Zachary Rishaze. And the Heat lead by 11. Andrew Wiggins now with 12 points, going 50% from the field. And that's going to prompt a Hawks timeout. The Heat right now have resurged into the fourth quarter as they lead 98-87. And we'll be back for more Heat action. Oh. Yeah. Oh. And we are back. Score is 98-87, Miami. And look at Beat Creechy for the Hawks. He's had 11 points, 3 rebounds, going 50% from the field. Definitely a 3-point threat for sure, just like Trae Young. The Hawks will inbound the ball. Dyson Daniels now has it, being guarded by Drew Smith. Here comes Zachary Rishaze. And stolen away by Jaime Hawkes Jr. And And here come the Heat on the fast break. Almost sloppy sequence right now. And another broken up alley-oop. And here come the Heat again. They give it to Wiggins. And Wiggins gets the layup. The Heat lead by 13 in this one. Andrew Wiggins right now with 14 points, going 7 for 13 from the field. And another steal for the Heat. But this one's going to be a foul. And the Heat have a tough break right there. But in terms of points off turnovers, Miami has 18 to Atlanta's 9. Dyson Daniels will take a seat. And another steal for the Miami Heat. And here they come. Drew Smith getting the layup, and he does. Drew Smith getting a nice layup, and that's going to prompt another Hawks timeout. Coach Snyder is fuming right now, and you can see it on his face. I mean, I can see it on his face, but probably you can't. But the Heat lead 102 to 87. And we are back. The Heat leading this game 102 to 87. The Hawks just scored, and that's now another, followed by the Miami Heat. So it's now 104 to 89. Right now, this one's feeling fast paced. There's a three on the way, and that's Jalen Johnson knocking down that three. Jalen Johnson with 24 points, shooting 25% for three-point range. Here comes Jovic. Gives it to Wiggins. Wiggins finding Kasper Jakajunas. Jakajunas gets his own rebound despite the miss. Hawkins getting his own rebound, but it's broken up by Atlanta. Here comes Jalen Johnson. Finding Nikhil Alexander-Walker for the dunk. I'm sorry, Asa Newell going up big for the dunk. And that's going to prompt a Heat timeout. That was some pretty sloppy defense Miami just showed right there. I mean, the backdoor cut from Asa Newell just allowed the Hawks to come within 10. So right now we're gonna have a quick timeout, and as the Heat lead 104-94 in this game. Jalen Johnson already nearing double-double performance with 24 points and 9 assists in this game. He also has 5 rebounds. Hey, if Jalen Johnson is not on your all-star list, you should make it a priority to put him on there, as well as Kelly Ware from Miami. So right now it's a 30-second timeout for both teams. Miami has a 10-point lead in this game. And here comes the Heat now. Davion Mitchell brings it up to the floor. And he misses the layup. Rebound by the Hawks. Here comes Trae Young now. Going coast to coast. He stops, pops, and he knocks down that basket. The Hawks trail by 8 in this game. Trae Young with 25 points so far. Davion Mitchell right now being guarded by Trae Young as the Hawks go on a 9-2 run. Ball's knocked out of bounds, and that's going to be off the Hawks. And here comes Norman Powell with the reverse layup. Nice touch as the Heat go up by 10. Norman Powell now with 19 points, shooting 50% from the field. Kelly Ware coming up with that rebound. He gives it to Davion Mitchell. Here comes Nikola Jovic. Back to Davion Mitchell. Mitchell being guarded by Trae Young. Kicks it out to Pelle Larsson. Davion Mitchell now. Out to Larsson for 3. And Pelle Larsson knocks down that 3. Pelle Larsson now with 19 points, going 3 for 3 from three-point land. Jalen Johnson looking to answer back, and he can't. Another rebound for Pelle Larsson, and here he comes in a hurry. Kicks it out to Nikola Jovic for the up and under fancy layup. The Heat right now are rolling. Nikola Jovic now with 10 points, going 3 for 14 from the field. And another steal for Miami. Nope. You gotta admire the hustle play that Davion Mitchell just did right there. Diving for the ball, going for what he knows. That was an excellent play. Excellent showmanship of hustle and talent for Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell bringing it up to the floor. Gives this to Norman Powell. Powell being guarded by Dyson Daniels. This is a good matchup right here. Here comes Norman Powell. Flies through and gets the layup over Dyson Daniels. Norman Powell now with 21 points, going 8 for 15 from the field. And here comes Trae Young, and he will go to the line for 2 free throws after that foul. Foul is on Davion Mitchell. All right, Trae Young knocks down the first. Trae Young makes both free throws. Miami leads by 15 in this one. Here comes Davion Mitchell again. Gives it to Norman Powell. Powell being guarded by Dyson Daniels. Kelly Ware finding Pelle Larson. He misses the layup. Rebound by Jalen Johnson. Here comes Jalen Johnson going coast to coast. Hands it off to a teammate, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And the Hawks trail by 13 in this one. Jalen Johnson now with a double-double of 24 points and 10 assists. And here comes Miami now. Norman Powell, guarded by Dyson Daniels, gives it to Pelle Larson. Larson gets the basket under duress as the Heat go up by 15. Pelle Larson with 21 points in this game. Here comes Trae Young. Kicks it out to Dyson Daniels. Trae Young for 3. Misses it. Rebound by Norman Powell. Gives it to Davion Mitchell. Norman Powell setting the screen. So is Kelly Ware. Miami right now on an 11-4 run. Mitchell being guarded by Trae Young. He blows by him. And he gets the basket. The Heat lead by 17 as they go on a 13-4 run. And Dyson Daniels answered back with a layup of his own. Dyson Daniels so far with 8 points, shooting 80% from the field. And we're going to have ourselves a timeout for Miami. Miami right now, they're looking good. They're looking solid so far as they lead 117-102. And we are back. Scores 117-102. Miami. Davion Mitchell now has the ball. Kicks it out for Larson for 3. That rims out. Here comes Jalen Johnson. And that's going to be a double dribble on Atlanta. So that will be Heat ball. Atlanta right now with 21 turnovers to Miami's 11. Here comes Davion Mitchell now. Miami so far has 22 points off turnovers compared to Atlanta's 9. Wiggins missing that basket. Jalen Johnson missing that 3. Rebound by Wiggins. Here comes Davion Mitchell. Here comes Norman Powell. Kicks it out to Wiggins. Larson to Davion Mitchell. Back to Norman Powell. Norman Powell drives in and he gets the layup. Norman Powell right now with 23 points off 9 for 16 shooting from the field. Here comes Trae Young. Misses the basket. But it's recovered by Onyeka Okongwu as the Heat go on a 6-4 run. Onyeka Okongwu now with 10 points in this game. Alright, here comes Davion Mitchell. He drives in. Rebound by Kelly Ware. Here comes Norman Powell. Almost with the emphatic dunk, but he will go to the line for 2 free throws. All right, Norman Powell goes to the line. He misses the first. And I think there may be a technical foul on Hawks coach Kirk Snyder as Norman Powell knocks down the second. Kirk Snyder none too happy about that. And Norman Powell knocks down that extra free throw. So Norman Powell now with 25 points, going 5 for 5 shooting from the free throw line. All right, so that's going to be out on the Hawks. Hold on for a second, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. Score is now 121-107. And there's a putback from Andrew Wiggins. The Heat now lead 123-107. And Atlanta answered right back with a layup of their own. So now the score is 123-109. All right, now here come the Hawks. Not sure who got fouled, but they'll go to the line for 2 free throws. All right, so it's going to be Onyeka Okongwu that will go to the line for 2 free throws. Okongwu makes the first. And Okongwu makes both free throws. And that's a corner 3 walk-off from Kalel Superboy Ware. And there's a rebound by Kalel Ware. And it looks like this game's going to be over very soon. Nikhil Alexander Walker right now, he's hunched over in pain. Clutching his wrist right now. Does not look good. And that's going to be a 24-second violation on the Heat. Nikhil Alexander Walker still hunched over in pain. I'm not sure what happened. Oof, looks like he ran right into I think Pelle Larsson. And that's gonna be the end of the game. The Heat come away with a big win right there as they beat the Hawks 126-111. Hey, both teams were struggling in terms of needing a win, but this game delivered on both ends. Both teams played with a sense of urgency, but Miami wanted it just as bad as the Hawks did. I mean, we saw some great basketball from Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu, Nikhil Alexander Walker, Beach Creechy. We also saw some tremendous basketball from Andrew Wiggins, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kelly Ware, Norman Powell, as always, and a returning Pelle Larsson, who the Heat needed as far as offense is concerned more than ever. So no Bam, no Tyler, no problem, I guess. And the Heat come up looking great for it. So this was an excellent game for Miami. One that they needed to jumpstart their confidence again, because those last 3 games were tough against New York, Boston, and a home game against the Toronto Raptors. So a very excellent win for Miami right now. All right, for the Heat, Norman Powell led the way with 25 points. Pelle Larsson came back in a big way with 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Andrew Wiggins with 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. Jaime Jaquez Jr. continuing to lead the bench with 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists, and 3 steals. Nikola Jovic came back almost a near double-double with 10 points, 7 rebounds. And Kelly Ware, speaking of double-doubles, he has 16 points and 13 rebounds. And for the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young led the way with 30 points and 6 assists. Onyeka Okongwu with 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. Nikhil Alexander Walker with 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Beat Creechy with 11 points and 4 rebounds. And Jalen Johnson showing up and showing out with a near triple-double of 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists. So again, this was a much needed win for the Miami Heat after their 3-game slump, and I'm glad that they managed to make the best out of a bad situation, because any further and that will probably weigh on them psychologically. So that's a big win for the Miami Heat. But the next time we see the Heat, they will be back home for tomorrow's game as they host the Indiana Pacers. Game starts Saturday at 8 o'clock, and you can watch that on FanDuel Sports Network Sun or your local WPLG Local 10 in Miami. Again, that's Heat Pacers, Saturday night at 8 o'clock p.m. on FanDuel Sports Network Sun and WPLG Local 10 in Miami. I want to thank everybody who tuned in and listened or followed the game or listened to my play-by-play. I want to say I thank you guys, love you guys. Be kind to one another, look out for one another. Always have that compassionate heart and always think of others, because you never know when that day comes. I'm Deron Butler, reminding you to always run through the paint. Take care, God bless, have a safe and happy holidays, and that which will lead to a prosperous new year. Take care, God bless, love you guys, and as always, go Heat.